In the early afternoon of June 24, 2002, 15-year-old Kara Robinson Chamberlain was watering plants and bushes in the front yard of a friend's house in West Columbia, South Carolina, when a Pontiac Trans Am pulled into the driveway. Out of the car popped an affable guy in his late 30s wearing jeans, a button-down shirt, and a baseball cap. He offered Chamberlain some pamphlets. He said, "Are your parents home?" And I said, "Well, this isn't my house. This is my friend's house." And he said, "Okay. Well, what about her parents? Are her parents home?" And I said, "No, her mom's not home right now," Chamberlain recalled in 2022. What came next was a nightmare. The man, later identified as 38-year-old serial killer Richard Evanitz, pulled out a gun, pressed it to Chamberlain's neck, and forced her into a large storage bin stowed on the back seat of the car. She spent 18 hours of torture at the hands of her attacker before she was able to escape. Evanitz, who had previously kidnapped and killed at least 3 girls in Virginia, later shot himself following a police chase in Florida after Chamberlain's escape put police on his trail. Here are 5 things to know about Chamberlain's kidnapping and escape, plus details on how she has moved on since her abduction. Chamberlain said that once she was forced inside the large storage bin on the back seat of Evanitz's car as he drove toward his apartment, she began counting the turns he made, hoping it would later help her find her way home. She noticed details. He was listening to a classic rock station and smoking Marlboro Red cigarettes. She even memorized the serial number on the inside of the plastic container he had forced her to kneel inside. "My survival mechanism said, 'All right, let's gather as much information as we can,'" she said. Fear barely even kicked in. The human will to survive, and the survival mechanism really just can't be underestimated. On the way to his apartment, he pulled over, restrained her with handcuffs, and put a gag in her mouth. He then took her to his cluttered apartment, also home to a guinea pig, a lizard, and other small animals, and assaulted her for 18 hours. Despite being terrorized, she tried to find ways to identify him. The names of his doctor and dentist were on his fridge, and keep him calm. When he wanted her to have some food, I said, "Well, I'm not going to eat right now, but is there anything I can do for you?" she said. I actually ended up sweeping his kitchen. In the dawn hours, while Evanitz was asleep, Chamberlain was able to free one of her hands from a pair of handcuffs, which were attached to the bed frame using a circular clamp tightened by a screw connected to a rope. With her teeth, and unclip a leather leg restraint attached to the foot of the bed, she quietly tiptoed to the front door and, trying to make as little sound as possible, unbolted the 2 locks. "I know he has the gun right beside him, and he's going to see me running, and he's going to shoot me in the back. That's all I could think," she said. And I was like, "You know what? It doesn't matter because I'm out, and at least someone will be able to find him." My body was scared, but my brain was like, "Okay, we're just about business. We're doing this." She made her escape and ran toward a car in the parking lot and flagged down 2 men who took her to the police station, where she recounted the ordeal. She was asked by the officers to take them back to Evanitz's apartment, and because of her keen powers of observation and the help of the apartment maintenance man, they found his lair. By the time authorities arrived at Evanitz's apartment, he had fled. Inside his apartment, police found a locked footlocker with newspaper clippings about the unsolved murders of 3 girls, Sophia Silva and sisters Caddy and Kristen Lisk. They had all gone missing in Spotsylvania County, Virginia, more than 5 years before Chamberlain's abduction. "I don't care how tough you are as a cop when you see something like that, it grabs you," Richland County Sheriff Leon Lott said in 2022. At that point, bells really went off in our heads that we just didn't have a kidnapping of Kara Robinson. This was something else. This was actually a serial killer. Silva, at age 16, disappeared from her front stoop in the Lauriella Park neighborhood of Spotsylvania, Virginia, on September 9, 1996. Her remains were found a month later in a creek. Then, on May 1, 1997, 15-year-old Kristen and 12-year-old Caddy were abducted from their home. They were found 5 days later in the South Anna River. The murders went cold until Chamberlain's abduction ramped up the investigation. Forensic evidence found at the crime scenes later matched evidence found inside Evanitz's home. Police also found 2 of Kristen's fingerprints inside the trunk of Evanitz's car. Police tracked Evanitz to Sarasota, Florida on June 27, 2002, and a high-speed chase there ended when he ran over spike strips on the highway and was attacked by a police dog. Evanitz then shot himself. In August 2002, Spotsylvania County Sheriff Ronald Knight announced that Evanitz was responsible for the crimes in his jurisdiction. "We have experienced these crimes, and they overwhelmed our community with a sense of grief, fear, and uncertainty, much of which still lingers today," he said, according to the Washington Post. For her help in solving Silva and the Lisk sisters' murders, Chamberlain received $150,000 in reward money and was able to meet their families. "It was one of the most important things that's ever happened to me," she said, "because it brought home the importance of what I did. Because I felt like, wow, I'm actually giving these families something that they never would have gotten without me. Just the closure of knowing that the person responsible for their daughter's deaths is no longer here." In 2019, after participating in an interview with kidnapping survivor Elizabeth Smart, Chamberlain took part in a 90-minute Lifetime special, Smart Justice, the Jamie Kloss case, with 5 other survivors to lend support to Jamie Kloss, a Wisconsin teen who escaped her captor that same year. Chamberlain said, "I sat down on a couch with Elizabeth and 5 other women who had survived kidnappings and sexual assaults. And that was the moment that I realized that I really had a bigger purpose. I knew that I could find a reason for what happened. And I always knew that what happened to me was something that happened so that I could help other people. I was healed on that couch, sitting there talking to those women in a way that I didn't even realize I was hurting," Chamberlain said. "Just to sit down and talk to women who really understood the heart of what I had been through." Smart inspired Chamberlain, an advocate for trauma survivors, to continue to speak out. The 2 women teamed up to work on a documentary that could do her own story justice. The final product, Escaping Captivity, the Kara Robinson story, premiered on Oxygen in 2021, detailing how Chamberlain not only outsmarted her captor, serial killer Evanitz, but used her remarkable memory to help police track him down and stop his reign of terror. Smart told Oxygen about the documentary. "I want everyone to always have a sense of hope, because no one gets through this life without their fair share of struggle and trial and heartbreak, and I think Kara's story really just brings that ultimate sense of hope. I'm so proud of Kara, and I'm so proud of everything that she's doing." Chamberlain's story was also adapted for the Lifetime movie The Girl Who Escaped, the Kara Robinson story. The film, starring Ginny and Georgia actress Katie Douglas in the titular role, premiered in February 2023.